Good morning, everyone. This is actually the real presentation, not just the audio check, so if you're half asleep, so listen up. Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all of you. My name is Steve Lemke. I'm a Vice President here at Rhodes Scholar. We're delighted to be hosting the first ever Planner-to-Planner ETC webinar. I, along with Mara Della Pascoli, will be your moderator for today, and I want to thank all of you for joining us. And I said good morning, afternoon, and evening because we're happy to say that we have nearly 200 people from across the U.S. and Canada and overseas who are interested enough in what's happening within the world of educational travel to donate an hour of their time for these webinars. Again, thanks for joining us. This webinar idea was born in a burst of enthusiasm and slightly under the cloud of alcohol at the ETC Advisory Council meeting, which you'll hear more about later, but that was held in Alberta, Canada last May. It adopts the premise that none of us knows what all of us know, and that sharing information all year long is more advantageous than trying to do everything at a single 4-day conference. And all of you are pioneers. I'm going to warn you now that for the first of these webinars, it could be a bit ragged. We've got 2 off-site presenters. We've got 4 or 5 of us here. But we're going to do our best, and if you like the idea, we'll be back to you throughout the year with other offerings and specific topics. So if you are listening to this and have some ideas of what you'd like to do with similar webinars coming up for the ETC community, you should let us know. Today, the audience is a mix of people, some completely new to ETC and some 27-year veterans. Consequently, the agenda is the same. It's a mix of topics, but hopefully we'll have something for everyone. And just so you know, this conference is being recorded and will be posted on the website. So, educational travel community, Planner-to-Planner webinar. Our thoughts today are to go over all of the things that we talked about many times in ETC and bring to you a number of different opportunities for you to discuss and for us to bring to you. We've got presenters here. Our presenters today are Melissa Gresh from MIT, currently in the room, Leslie Rowley from Princeton, who unfortunately Leslie's going through a bit of laryngitis, so Leslie is listening to us as a listener, but she's not currently a presenter. But Leslie's going to be our sort of layperson for telling us what went well and what didn't. And we also have Alex Maddock from the Art Institute of Chicago on site in Chicago. We have myself and Mara Della Pascoli, who many of you know and was the founder and now the chief operating person for all of the ETC issues. Our agenda today is pretty simple. We've had the welcome. We're doing introductions now. We're going to talk about the conference and what it means to you, what it means to us, and some of the things that are different. We're going to talk about Connects, which are primarily the business-to-business meetings and the interconnected ways that business gets done at ETC. And then we're going to talk, we'll have a question and answer period halfway through. Then we're going to talk about the ETC community, which really is a new idea that has been in gestation for the last couple of years, but really came to the forefront in the last ETA Advisory Council meeting. So that's a lot of the second half. We'll have a quick wrap-up and more questions and answers. So again, if you have questions, you have questions or comments during the presentation, by all means, type them up in the lower right-hand corner. We'll collect those questions until we get to the question and answer period. We'll take a quick break then, and we'll collect the questions and answer as many as we can, and we'll do it again at the end of the session. So I'm going to turn it over to Mara right now, who's going to talk to us about the conference and what it means to us.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all around the globe. The Educational Travel Conference, this is our 28th year. We're very proud to have consecutively offered 28 years of programming and education for those in the field of affinity travel within museums, alumni, conservation groups, cultural organizations. 28 years ago, in a small hotel in Washington, D.C., a few planners converged to talk about what they did. Most of them had no communications with each other. They didn't, large programs didn't know who the planner was for another program. We felt it was time to convene a group. At that time, there was no internet and there was no email or conferencing, so we got together as a body, and the conference came into play in 1987. Today, its purpose is still what it was at that time. Professional development is the core purpose of the meeting. We also provide networking and community development within the group of affinity planners, because that was very important. If you ask any planner, basically networking and professional development were key to the resources they looked for in the conference. Moving beyond that, we expanded the community to our partners, which were the tour operators, and then the destinations and suppliers came in over the years. Starting in 1991, the first destination came was the Netherlands. And they brought a new dimension to the meeting, that they brought a reality check about what the industry is doing, and they, as partners, the programs they were offering, and they brought valuable connections to a larger community. We have expanded globally. We have a wonderful community that spread from 42 countries, basically, at the conference this year, and more adding on. So we look forward to a very, very convivial and also congenial group to sit down and talk about the challenges and opportunities within the affinity travel market. Going on to saying, well, how do we plan and program a meeting for such a diverse and disparate audience? We do a number of things throughout the year to really get an idea of what the hot issues and plans are for the planners, but also for our operators and for the planners and suppliers and destinations around the world. So we do a very intensive planning and programming process. Basically, we convene regional roundtables. There's 7 of them offered throughout the country, sometimes 8. We go all over for 2 months to talk with colleagues across the U.S. Some people fly in from overseas. Some people come up from different cities. We actually have posted on the screen here the ones scheduled for 2015. As you will see, all of our partners are involved with this. It's not just planners, but tour operators and suppliers. Everyone convenes together to talk about what is going on in our community, what are the opportunities ahead, what are the threats, what are the challenges. And they're very, very lively meetings, and a lot of programming information is disseminated to us to prepare for the conference upcoming, but also they provide where do they want to see community going and how do they want to be connected. Moving from we basically take all of the information from the regional roundtables, and we bring them and we distill the information down into the key points, and we bring it to the Executive Advisory Council. The Executive Advisory Council is composed of 12 to 14 people, and they represent all the constituencies within the conference. So we have 6 planners on the council. We ultimately have 4 tour operators, inbound operators, suppliers, and destinations. And we all sit at a table and we talk about the issues ahead of us, how we can make this conference very, very focused and very, very specific on the needs and interests of our community. From this, we distill everything down into what we call the hot topics. What are the hot topics that are really out there this year? Interestingly, we had our council meeting in Alberta, and we came up with some very new focus. We want to add a destination track into the conference. People felt that the destinations had a lot to share at this conference, and they weren't very well integrated into it. So we're bringing in UNESCO sites, we're bringing in specific countries, we're bringing in case studies for destinations across the map. We'll also be holding an Ignite session, which will be bringing up all the destinations within the various regions of the world to talk about what are the key issues on the ground. So it's going to be very, very focused, and it will be a definite dedicated track for destinations. Of course, marketing is at the top of the list for everyone. Marketing is always on the agenda. This year, however, we're looking at the online integration with in-print marketing. And those two concepts will flow into 4 sessions at the conference, including a new session on stretch marketing. You don't have any dollars, but here's how you can make the dollars stretch further with marketing, as well as some of the social media, which is coming into play. However, we're going to be doing that in workshops. So redoing your Facebook page, hands-on. That brings me to the point that many, many workshops are being asked for in the conference. So within our travel track, we'll be doing sessions on basically intentional travel journaling. We'll be doing storytelling in travel, and we'll be bringing in some top journalists as well as some professionals to teach us basically how we can take our these aspects into really expanding engagement with travelers on tour. The trends track is very powerful this year. We're bringing in a speaker from overseas, Clint Laurent, and he is one of the top global demographics experts in the world. And he will be talking about global demographics, but bringing it down into where the middle class and the money flow is worldwide. It shall be rather interesting, and I think you'll see some unexpected conclusions all the way out to 2021. Following the trends track, we'll be bringing in the trends on the millennials and boomers. We're having some interesting industry speakers come in to talk about how the millennials are echoing what the boomers want, and we'll be actually having workshops and developing programs to that effect. We also will be bringing in family travel and intergenerational travel, including all the objections, perhaps, of why people do the programs or not do the programs. But these sessions will be very, very interesting because we're bringing in some of the top people that are actually within this affinity market. They're actually doing very well with these programs and are able to expand their engagement to larger audiences. Because without new programming and new offerings, there aren't new travelers. We also will be having a responsible tourism track, which we have every year, and we will be having a very strong risk management track, including bringing the 2 top travel litigators in the U.S., one from from San Francisco, and one from Boston. We'll also be bringing in what I think is one of the core reasons we do the conference, and that's about the educational assets we have, our faculty and our in-country guides. We have wonderful guides coming in from 3 of the different continents, as well as 2, professors that will be coming in to participate in that discussion. We also have our very successful industry forums. The format is quite different. It involves everyone in the discussions. We'll be focusing on some of the industry issues that are at large right now, which is air and cruise, and we'll also be doing some on program development.
So, thank you, Mara. Melissa's going to talk about conference logistics, and then we're going to go into forums and seminars, which we're going to have in 2014. Melissa?
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Gresh, and I just wanted to talk briefly about just the importance of the beginning and end of the conference, as well as all the meat in the middle. The conference, as you know, begins on Wednesday, February 5, early afternoon, as you can see. And it's a great, slow kind of ease into the conference, getting settled, getting to know people. And the evening event really gathers everyone together. You can see some highlights here from that first day. And I think that it's a great way to kick off and ease into everything that's going to happen in the days that follow. And I think what's important about the conference is not only all the information that you gather during the program, but also some of the great sessions and everything that wraps up the conference as well. It's quite important for people to begin on February 5 and leaving on the 9th or the 8th at night. There's a ending session the evening of the 8th. And what's great about Orlando is that there's so many flights in and out. It's quite an easy place for many of us to fly to. And it's just, it's a nice full experience. Some great sessions on that final day. And I just encourage everyone to make their travel plans accordingly.
And I just wanted, this is Mara, I'd like to add something about the major difference from conferences prior. We are opening the conference with more of a social event. We're not going to have a plenary presentation, although the executive director of Yale Alumni will be sharing a few thoughts with me. But we'll basically have it for networking and some real connection points at the conference. So it's going to be a lively and fun evening on the 5th of February. And then we'll begin on Thursday, which we haven't done before, with a nice keynote in the morning. So basically, it's important to get in time for that evening event and to make your connections and to kind of get those must-do hellos in before we start rolling with the conference.
And this is Steve, too. I think the number one thing that we want to say here is that, the program starts and ends, and if you can do everything as a planner to stay through the last day's sessions, it really does make a difference to everybody who's got a lot of planning and for the speakers who are presenting that time. So, Melissa, back to forums and seminars for 2014.
Great. The Travel Planner Forum is one of my favorite parts of the conference. It's such a terrific opportunity for us as travel planners to get together and really have some time to talk about the issues that really affect us. We have issues that we need to think about that aren't things that are of concern necessarily to tour operators and the destinations. And us being, the folks in the universities, museum groups, all sorts of travel programs can talk together, have really robust conversations. Some of my favorite sessions are the roundtable discussions where we really get to the meat of some of the concerns that we have in the business and our successes and sharing ideas. This is a day exclusive for us for our needs. I think it's a wonderful way to network, but also really learn about nuts and bolts, technical issues, anything from legal issues, customer service issues that we've all experienced, sharing best practices, talking about successes and how to grow the business. It's just a wonderful way for us to really roll up our sleeves and have these kinds of conversations. So I really look forward to that every year. The next sort of forum seminar is the executive forum, and this is something that is sort of time reserved for our executive directors or the folks in charge in our office. My boss went to this a number of years ago, and it really gave her a good handle on our challenges and how she can best support us. And I really think that if the folks at the top have a real true understanding of our challenges and our needs, that they get a really great perspective on how to support us and support us to the boards or whoever else they're answering to. We have some really great folks on the executive forum as presenters this year, and you'll see the list contains, you know, the CEO of at Georgia Tech Alumni Association, some marketing folks, some very seasoned travel program directors, and their perspectives are wonderful for your boss to hear. They're well informed. They're very supportive of this community, and so it's a great opportunity for that to get your support back in the office. The mentor meet and greet is something that I participated in as well as a mentor, and I encourage all of you folks who have been to the conference a few times. I don't know what the criteria is exactly, but you know the lay of the land, to be able to set aside just a little bit of time. I think I meet with my mentee for about 15 or 20 minutes at the beginning of each conference and just talk about how to navigate the conference. It also helps to build community among us, and it's a really good chance to just sit down and just talk about your experience and answer any questions your mentee might have. Talk about your experience and answer any questions your mentee might have. I really encourage it. It's also a relationship that can last throughout the months following, just to nurture our community and get to know one another better.
And Alex, I think you're going to talk to us about Seminar Wheels, because I think you had something to do with creating the seminar.
I did. Sorry, this is Alex Maddox from the Art Institute of Chicago. The Seminar on Wheels is something that we have offered in the past, and the objective is to provide an educational day program to sites around the conference venue with wonderful local experts. Some of our visits on this year's tour, which will be on February 9th, which is a Sunday, we're taking a narrated boat tour on Lake Osceola, and we are visiting the Casa Feliz, and we're fortunate to be able to tour that home with John H. Rogers, FAIA, who is the son of the home's architect, James Gamble Rogers II. We're having a lovely lunch downtown in Winter Park, and we are visiting the Charles Hosmer Morse Museum of American Art, which is home to the world's most comprehensive collection of works by Louis Comfort Tiffany. We are also visiting Rollins College, and there will be visiting the Knowles Memorial Chapel and also the Cornell Museum of Fine Arts. We are fortunate to have with us during the whole day Dr. Arthur Blumenthal. He is an International Museum consultant and Renaissance scholar, and he is also the Director Emeritus of the Cornell Fine Arts Museum in Winter Park. So I hope you'll be able to join us, and we'll also be making a 3:45 drop at the Orlando airport for your convenience.
Great. Thank you, Alex. Now we're going to talk about who attends the conference. The attendees, both new and experienced, and Melissa's going to talk about planners, and then we're going to have Mara talk about operators and so forth. So, Melissa?
The planners are, folks from all over the United States, mainly, I think, for us, alumni association groups, museums, natural history groups, from large and small programs, and also folks of varying just levels of experience. It's a great conversation. We all have very different perspectives and goals for our programs, and it can really help to inform you as you consider your own program.
At the conference, we also have our partners. The largest group of the conference, actually there are two large groups, one the planners and the other are the U.S. tour operators. U.S. tour operators are defined as being incorporated in the U.S. Their base of operations is here, and legally they have set up a corporation in the U.S. Those operators are largely specialized in many, many different things, but we actually are very excited to have some new operators that are looking at younger travelers. They're looking at millennial travel. They're looking at family programs. They're looking at intergenerational programs, as well as the active, more adventure type travel programs, all of which are appealing to the affinity market and are selling in various ways. And then the inbound operators that come are really coming from largely 42 different countries. They're there largely to meet with the U.S. operators, but also they do meet with planners, but their largest focus is on getting to the U.S. operators that help the planners with the marketing and the outreach and the sales of travel programs.
So there's a group called DOS, D-O-S, and Mara just told you about the O in that, which is operators. The D is destinations, and the S is suppliers. And Alex is going to tell us about destinations and suppliers. Alex?
Oh, hi, I'm here. So the suppliers are it's a vast collection of companies. It's anything from marketing companies to airlines to hotels, visa operations, insurance providers, to emergency evacuation providers. Destinations are representatives of destinations around the globe. These folks are not selling tours, just awareness and expertise about their destinations. Planners have vastly underused this educational segment of the conference and should really make it a point to get educated at the conference by making a point to meet with these destinations. Again, they're not selling tours. Their job is to serve as a destination specialist at ETC. If you're going to a country or even thinking about it, talking with them and asking what they would suggest is just to your benefit. Their job is to serve you with information. They're not, no operator sales or anything like that, and you're really kind of missing a huge opportunity at ETC by avoiding such representatives. I personally set up at least 4 or 5 of these meetings every year, and have met with everyone from Iceland to Romania to Rhode Island to India. And while they're not selling tours, they will, if you ask, suggest tour operators, which I've done in the past as well, if you're just not sure who offers quality travel to some of the destinations you're exploring.
Great. I want to talk to you a bit about sponsors, and this is and sponsors and individual organizational roles and responsibilities and protocol all sort of go in together. But I want to be very clear with our sponsors. We have a wide variety of sponsors every year. Just about maybe 15, 20, 25 sponsors a year. They sponsor everything from the small brochures to the large materials that we get at the conference, and they do the dinners. They do all the breakout sessions. You get coffee from Peru. You get Mexican dinners. And one of the things that happens is the bottom line on this is that they pay the bills. They pay a lot of the reasons that we're paying $625 or whatever it is per person to go. You could almost expect that to be $1,000 if these sponsors weren't there. So they play an important role, not only what they bring to the conference and what they represent as far as educational opportunities and destination knowledge and so forth, but they bring checks. And if you would like to have your registration fee stay as it has been for the last 5 years, you need to, and we need as planners, and I'm looking in the mirror when I'm saying this to you, that we need to embrace these sponsors. We need to go up to them individually, thank them for doing it. It's a little bit odd in the exhibition hall. We were walking in and everybody else was to the side and the sponsors were in the middle, and they were sort of ignored. We're going to change that a little bit this year and how the exhibition hall is set up. But please do what you can to go up and thank the sponsors for what they're doing for us and what they're doing for you. Now, as far as the protocol is concerned, one of the things that happens with the conference is this, and there's a screen up here that's a little difficult to read, but I want to share it with you almost as it is. It says, as delegates to the ETC, we agree to do the following things. We want to be positive and so forth, but the three other bullets are the most important ones. As planners, you will be tempted. You'll get the siren call from operators and suppliers who say, oh, let's go out to dinner on this night or that night. There are only set times within the conference that non-sponsored or not that operators or suppliers who are not sponsors can host dinners or invite people out to parties and so forth. Now, that we can't really control people from extending invitations, but we can ask you as planners not to go. So if you see the first bullet, it says one of the things that people agree to is not to host or participate in private invitational parties, dinners, or other events during the official February 5 through 8 dates in 2014. Because what they do is clearly erode the spirit of the ETC community. If people aren't there, the sponsors spend a lot of money sponsoring a night and a dinner. What we're asking you to do is that if you're a registered guest and you as a planner will get a ticket to the sponsored dinners, and really it's the right thing to do to go to that dinner at night. It helps the sponsor, gives us a broad audience. The little bit of commercialism that the sponsor brings to it is not onerous. It's in the beginning, but they really spend a lot of time, energy, and money putting these things together. So we're asking you, don't participate in renegade private invitational parties or dinners. We're asking you to go to the dinner when they're scheduled, and there's plenty of time outside of that for the non-sponsors to schedule times. And you'll see that cocktail parties and dinners and so forth, there's plenty of time for people to network and go together. So, the dinner attendance and the tickets and the parties and the rest of it, there's a lot of money spent and a lot of effort put into it. So we please ask you to, along with attending the full conference, to do what needs to be done to be good to the sponsors and good to go with that. Yes, Mara?
Thank you, Steve. And I wanted to just add to that we have these wonderful, and they're very, very popular. There's 6 cocktail parties that happen every night, right after that last session when you need to hit the bar and go in. And those are done by the sponsors. The major sponsors of the conference have an opportunity to actually invite their sort of invited guests. They want to maybe talk to 40 planners or 30 planners or some tour operators. So they have the right, really, they have the benefit to be able to offer those cocktail parties. And they're wonderful events and people can flow through them. And so we try to have nothing competing with those events either, because that's a very special benefit to sponsors to have these cocktail parties. And I can tell you, I can attest that every year they only grow in popularity.
Thank you, Mara. Now we're going to move over to the business, sort of what we call the connects or the meeting side of it. We're going to talk a little bit about the value of the meetings. We're going to talk about the meetings themselves. We're going to talk about scheduling, and we're looking at fulfillment and tracking and response. And again, we're going to be talking about some of the protocol. So for you as a value, as a planner or attendee, we're going to go to Melissa.
I'm sorry, can you all hear me? Okay, great, thank you. I just saw a funny notation on the screen, so I apologize. The Connects meetings, I just really think this is such a valuable part of the conference. The sessions are wonderful, the keynotes, but the Connects are just that part of the conference where you really have set aside that chance to talk to your operators or whoever you're setting up a meeting with. I find them to be very efficient and productive conversations. They're a way for me to do a follow-up meeting with an operator with whom I've already met to discuss the following year's programming or discuss issues. Perhaps an operator that they're just, maybe their business model is set up such that they don't come to see me at my school. But ETC gives us a chance to finally meet face-to-face. We get so much more done face-to-face. And I think it almost works kind of like a speed dating setup where we just have a certain set amount of time to talk, and then I kind of rotate to another operator. It's also a great time to talk to destinations, to learn about their product, their place, sites that are important to see, that kind of thing, which would fold into another conversation I might have with an operator. So they're wonderful, and I really encourage you to sign up for them.
And there are 3 different types of Connects meetings, and Alex is going to talk about the 3 types.
Okay. The existing business connects. This is ideally the time to meet with your established partners to get must-do business done. Then you can spend the rest of your time enjoying sessions, as well as meeting new people. Planners typically do not confirm meetings at this time with new partners. They're most often tied up with existing partner meetings. That said, some planners do prefer to only meet with new partners at ETC. This is actually just a great opportunity, and I always take advantage of this time just because most of my tour operators are not in Chicago. Actually, just one is, and it's really one of the only times during the year that you can meet with, that you can see everyone. The new business connects. This is a time to schedule meetings with new people you might be interested in working with at some point in the future, or maybe you just want to meet them, check them out, see what they're all about. If you don't want to meet other operators during this time, you can also make appointments with destinations and suppliers. But the key is to make appointments and make these connections. Even if you don't want to expand the tour operators that you're currently working with, definitely meet with the destinations and get some great information. Again, they're not selling a product, they're providing you with information. And then the speaker connects. This is a time for free consultations with ETC guest speakers. Unlike the other Connects meetings, which are scheduled in advance of the conference, you would sign up for these on-site at the conference at the reception desk. And some popular past topics have been creative marketing, risk management, all sorts of great things. And again, this is totally free to you and a benefit of attending the conference.
So thanks, Alex. Mara's going to tell us how to schedule a meeting and how to make these connects work.
Well, the key to the Connects meeting is to make sure that they're targeted. You don't want to be meeting with someone that does not really relate to what you do, doesn't have any idea of your mission, doesn't sell the type of programs you want, and really is inappropriate, and you don't want to waste your time. So if there is an onus on the travel planners to fill out an organizational profile. We make it easy online. It does take a concerted amount of time to do the profile for the first time, but each year you can update your profile in about 4 minutes. So basically, if you complete the profile, you'll have on there what level of insurance you require from operators. So someone coming in that doesn't have that level of insurance really shouldn't be speaking with you. And so you preclude or sort of stopgap the people meeting with you or asking for meetings with you based on your profile. So we ask you to fill out a profile, and we also ask all of the destinations operators and suppliers to fill out a profile as well, so that you can look at them, because when someone schedules or asks for a meeting with you, you can quickly check their profile and say, this is a match, this isn't a match. So we try to do most of the networking for you online, but it does take some time to cruise through, to check out profiles, and certainly to fill out your profile first. You will be receiving, as of December 1, the Connects meetings open up, and only the operators and tour operators and suppliers and destinations that have filled out a profile are going to be visible to you. And you can go through there and you can either request a meeting with someone, you just click on their name and it actually sends them a request that we'd like to meet with you, and it gives them times, pre-scheduled times, or someone could ask you for a meeting. And to avoid having your email just deluge with requests to meet, we ask everyone to use the system, so therefore you can go onto your dashboard once you register for the conference, and you can see a list of the people that are requesting appointments with you. If you don't wish to meet with them, you click no, decline. If you wish to reschedule a time, you click reschedule. If you'd like to meet with them, click yes. So it's very, very quick and easy, and you get email reminders from the system to say that there are meetings requests waiting. So either way, it's important to attend to those requests and make sure that you click an answer, because you're holding up someone's meeting time if you do not respond. The online scheduling system basically is improving every year. We started off with very few meetings in the beginning, and now we had over 3,000 meetings requested last year, and 50% were confirmed, and some of them were declined, of course, and then some were rescheduled. So it's just important for you to respond to the requests that are made to you, and for you to take the time to go through before the conference, not to walk in when there are 500 people milling around, and to really look at who's coming and have a very strategic plan of how you want to spend your time, because 3 days passes very quickly, and you only have about 6 hours throughout the 3.5 days to have these meetings.
Thanks, Mara. And Mara was talking about responding to the requests that you get. And you know that between now and the time that the conference starts, you will start getting a lot of system things that will say, I'm from XYZ operator and I want to meet with you. If you know you don't want to meet with them, simply tell them no. But no response is a response, and it's not the proper response. So one thing to do is to make sure that if you want to keep your emails clean, because if you don't respond to them, they will email to you. And the whole point of doing it is to respond to the people who are asking you for a meeting. Now, keep in mind also that everybody, for the most part, is asking a planner for a meeting, has paid more than you have for the conference. So again, they're helping pay the freight. So be cordial, be kind, and considerate, and let them know that if you are not going to do it.
One interesting point that was made by travel planners, because we've talked about these systems and keep refining year to year, is that anyone who requests a meeting with a planner needs to fill out about 40 words of why they really want to meet with a planner. They must sit there and look at your profile and also assess what their product offerings are, and they come up with a statement of why it's worth your 15 minutes of time to meet with them. So you do have something more than just a name and an organization. And they spend a lot of time preparing that 40-word commentary. So it really is very, as Steve mentioned, decline or say yes, and that was the professional answer.
And once you've done that, and you said yes, and they're sitting there, and they're all in their places with bright, shiny faces, and then you don't show up, that's not good. So if you agree to have a meeting and you say yes to somebody, the meetings, as I think most of you who are experienced know, they're short. You know, as somebody, Melissa, I think, referred to it almost as speed dating, but they are productive. So if you show up at the time you're supposed to do it, somebody else is there, we're going to be very clear with the DOS people that they're to move people away from their desk if they have a set meeting. So that's all we're asking, is that respond to the emails. If you do set up a meeting, please respond to it. So we're going to stop for just a few minutes to collect some questions from the first half of this, or not the first half, the first 3 quarters. We'll be back to you in 3 or 4 minutes. We'll collect some questions. There'll be more time for questions and answers near the end of the presentation as well. So if you have questions that you haven't typed in yet, lower right-hand corner, type them in. We'll go from there, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, we're back. So I'm going to talk about 3 questions that came in. There's some more pending, and one person said that they had to leave. I want to report again that this session is being recorded. So anybody who has to leave, by all means, thank you for joining us. You can go online. We'll post it shortly after this is finished, not necessarily today, but watch for it on site. There was a question about mentors and when you could expect to meet a mentor, and Mara's going to handle that.
I'm glad that you signed up to be paired with a mentor. It's wonderful that the newcomers are doing that. And we basically pair about the end of December, early January. We'll be able to have you assigned to a mentor. We try to look for someone that is within your type of organization and try to make as close a match as we can. And that mentor will actually communicate with you by email and set up a phone time to chat before the conference. And then we'll meet at the newcomers meet and greet on February 5th in the afternoon. So you should hear about 4 weeks prior to the conference. You should hear from your mentor.
Okay, there was another sort of logistical question. Are there transfers from the airport? I think most of you, as long as we're in Orlando, you know, the conference does have a tendency to move every 2 to 5 years, and we're in Orlando again in February of this year or next year. So there are not transfers from the airport, but there's a easy shuttle to do it, and it's not too bad to get there. There is parking on site if you want to do it. It's an extra cost, so go from there. But the logistics of the conference, especially at the Renaissance Orlando, have been worked out very nicely over the last couple of years. So I expect all of those things to go really well. So now going to the last sort of section of the presentation, the community, opening doors to open minds. So that expects 2 things: that people have an open mind to a door being open. And when we went to Alberta to talk about as the Executive Advisory Council, one of the main things that came up was the idea of expanding the ETC community. You know, for years, for 25 years, it was for the most part a 4-day conference, and it was focused on that. And there was this sort of frenetic leading up to it, and then a really robust, afterglow. But a month or 2 after that, everybody was back at their desk, sort of laboring on their own or with their colleagues. And I think most of us, with a few exceptions, are in offices with limited staff and with limited exposure to the outside world of educational travel. So what we wanted to do, and what we thought clearly about, I think, in Alberta, was to stress in today's webinar and going forward the need for a 365-day community, that we're not just trying to deal with a 4-day conference, but we're trying to come to you over the year through webinars like this and through postings on the website. The benefits of being part of a community would be research, would be knowing what your best practices are, would be willing to post a lot of openings and read openings, and being a member of a community makes a difference than just attending a conference. You know, there are trip listings that we ask people to fill out so that you know who's doing what in other parts of the world. You know, there's a certain lonely feeling if you're laboring in your own office, no matter how nice it is, with a couple of colleagues. You don't really know what's going on in the greater world. And, you know, the part of responsible tourism and ETC making a place in the world, one of the things that we want to do with trip listings, and we're going to talk about that a little more specifically, but if we have a 365-day community, we're better for ourselves. We know what each other knows. And when we fill out things like trip listings and we're a community, we can talk as a community. We can go to areas like Orlando or Boston or Prague or anywhere in Peru or Mexico and say, this is the difference we're making in the world. This is what we're bringing to your location. This is what we're doing for the spirit of educational travel. And I think one thing that we want to stress in the community going forward is that we're not just a conference. We're not in the travel business as such. We're really educators. As a not-for-profit group, and it used to be called the Not-for-Profit Travel, we're not-for-profits and we're about education. And we think as a community we can probably wear the mantle of education as a community better and stronger than we can as individuals. So that's sort of the background, an overview for the history and the need, somewhat of the demand. We know there's demand out there. We've had people in almost every location and every conference we've done and every advisory council meeting that we've had ask us, why don't we get together more? And we consider regional conferences. But again, it's not conferences. It's educational travel. And mostly it's on education. So your expectation should be to see more of us over the next year coming to you with opportunities. And there's a cost for that, but it's very modest. But Mara's going to talk about the benefits of the community, everything from that she's going to show in the dashboard about searches, research, reports, and so forth. Mara?
We have actually gone around the country for 3 years and talked to people about what they wanted to see in terms of community and connections. And huge lists were drawn up, but we kind of distilled down the major things that people wanted to see in the community, which we call ETC 365. And basically what you'll see on the screen right now is what we call, this is one half, the upper half of your dashboard. When you register for the conference, whether you're a member or not, you will see this dashboard. However, if you're a member of ETC, then you'll have a lot of links that will be very active. If you're not a member of ETC, you'll see a lot of links that are inactive. However, on this dashboard, you will see that you can actually change your personal profile and your member profile, etc. But what is wonderful is that it also tells you how to get involved. But going down to the second half of the dashboard, this is where all the community resources are available. And if you're a community member, you can have access to this. So we looked at, people said, we need online searches. We want to find out what operator offers this, who's operating Italy, who's going to specialize in FITs, who can help me with adventure travel, who can offer a program that's cultural that's in Ireland. So the database can be, there is a series of new searches available in the database that you can actually quickly go in. And this will be a great resource for those who are very time pressed when they have to find or research something. You could also research the members in the community. You can have a little personal member snapshot, because off to the right of this dashboard, we feature members all the time, and you can actually search the members and actually find out something personally about them, as well as their organizational profile, which is a time throughout the year that you can actually look up and see who does what. The research is becoming much more robust. We actually commissioned a project with Peter Yezowicz based on last year's conference and his enthusiasm for this educational community. And they did a profile on Educational Traveler. And that whole basic survey, the actual summary of it is available online, which is free to members. If you were to buy the membership, actually the survey offline, it was close to $3,000. So that's a wonderful benefit. We also record every time we do an educational or a destination report. When the advisory council goes somewhere, we actually produce reports to give you all the contact information about that country or that destination, great guides, resources. So it's a wonderful resource center. You can also publish, you can actually share information. You can post a job listing. You can post an event. Say you want to post an event that's going on in your community or within your institution, or you want to post an announcement that you think everyone needs to hear. And this is going to be open to all the members of the community. So when we have situations that might happen that are disasters or positive or whatever in country, we'll be able to have these announcements being posted frequently, and they'll be auto-populated on the homepage. We also have MP3 downloads of all the sessions at the conference. And you actually can go back to 2013 and listen to those, as well as the 2014. So some colleagues are not able to come to the conference. They sign up as a member, and they can have access. They almost actually went to the conference in a way. I mean, they can hear the audio sound. We also have tutorials for those newcomers. We have now done Jumpstart. We've been doing it for 17 years, but now it is actually online as a tutorial. So if you're a member, you can sign up for Jumpstart at a marginal cost, and basically allow your whole staff to go and look at this. They're actually wonderful sessions. There are 5 of them in the series, and 2 of them are updated every year. There's also a huge manual resource that's provided by all colleagues across the country, anything from a host manual to a tour operator contract. So that's actually in a e-manual for all the Jumpstart people. The membership costs, when one signs up for the conference, the membership is $175 if you do not come to the conference, but we felt that people coming to the conference should have a reduction. So the membership fee is $75 if you come to the conference. However, many of our colleagues and planners have provided trip listings, and thank you for their time in doing that. the membership costs are actually reduced further to $25 a year. The actual, it goes from till December 15th of 2014. These costs really do not cover what it requires to do all these online searches, et cetera, but we feel that to create the community, if we get a large enough group together, we'll be able to actually cover sort of direct costs in providing this information. We're daily, if not weekly, getting a request for even more searches and for more ways to expand the online community. I think when you take a look at the website, it's completely relaunched with a whole different content manager. So if you provide information and you participate in sharing information, posting events, announcements, you will start seeing them auto-populating online, and you will no longer see just conference site. You'll see a very robust community site, but it is the onus of the community to support that.
And I want to say too, Mara, that when looking at this from a planner's point of view, the difference between $625 to register for the conference and $700 to get 365 days worth of research and all the other things and postings and everything that Mara just went through, it seems like putting it all together as one budget item makes good sense. To not have the membership when you're coming to the conference it seems like just a waste of 360 of those days. So. Trip listings.
Actually, could I say something as well? As from the planner perspective as well, it's nice that ETC kind of expands beyond that, a few days in Orlando together. Working essentially in my office, kind of in a silo day to day, it's nice to be connected with the community by way of the website, and then from there making personal connections throughout the year. The website has great resources, and it's just a great way to connect, and I think it's very important to have that membership and that access.
Thanks, Melissa. So Alex is going to talk to us a bit about trip listings and how to share them, the anonymity, reporting, and profiling. Alex?
Hi, all. The trip listings is the first major benchmarking initiative undertaken by the educational travel community with the goal of documenting and showcasing the strength and role of the nonprofit travel niche as a major driver in the global educational travel market. We want to state as accurately as possible the impact of the educational travel community on leisure travel, both nationally and internationally. It's a goal for the well-being of all ETC members and the ETC community at large. What are the benefits? All travel planners who share their trip listings each year will benefit from receiving the aggregated annual statistics generated from this project. You can then take this report and share it with your management to provide factual industry benchmarking in support of your annual travel programs. This allows you to document the size of the affinity market and compare your program with the aggregate offerings of your fellow travel planners. The statistics should also help you to target best-selling markets or make the case for a completely new one. Having an archived history of your program year by year is also a significant convenience to you and your team and even your successors. And you can access this archive at any time by logging into the password-protected trip listings page on ETC's website. In terms of benefits to the worldwide travel industry, the trip listings will state as accurately as possible the impact of the educational travel community on travel, both nationally and internationally, a goal necessary for the well-being of all ETC members. It will also raise the profile and stature of this community and its significance in the global travel industry by enabling us to accurately represent the educational affinity and alumni travel market to the press and our travelers as a market of great significance. If ETC cannot demonstrate an aggregate dollar value of the community, destinations are hard-pressed to ask their management to support the community and planners. This comes down to dollars. If we as planners do not provide an aggregate analysis of the ETC market, major sponsors of ETC will not be able to justify their attendance, despite their passion and great commitment to the community. Their bosses also want to know, just like yours and mine do, what is the return on investment? That means how many people does this community move as a whole, and what do they spend? Every other community or association has aggregate numbers to share, but ETC does not. So the Trip Listings Initiative is probably the most important of all initiatives to further the community and conference. Without this data, sustainability is in question, and it is so easy. ETC gives you 3 different options. You can fill out the form online, you can fill out a spreadsheet and have ETC's terrific office staff upload it for you, and if you use Viator, you can also use that. There's a functionality there through Viator. So it's just so easy and it's so important.
Thank you, Alex. And so before we talk about responsible tourism just for a second, I just want to wrap up on that. We're bringing the community to you as a whole. It's only going to work if you're interested in it. And we don't think the cost is at all exorbitant. We would really like you to at least try it for a year, see how you like it, and tell us what you need from it. You know, as a member of the advisory council, it seems like one of the most important things we can do for ourselves, for our organizations, for our bosses, and not last but least, but the educational travel participant who goes on our program. So do consider it, and I think for the money, please join us in that. So Mara, do you want to talk about responsible tourism for a minute?
Responsible tourism, as a community, we have outreach. We go and look at different community-based projects around the world. We ask people to make submissions, and we actually pick 7 of them, basically showcase 3 at the conference, which is our way of it as a community to give back to communities around the world. And this has become something that we've done since 1999. It really is a labor of love and a total volunteer effort by everyone within the community, and including the ETC staff. We have a Responsible Tourism Showcase committee that looks at all the submissions from around the world, and if you know any great projects anywhere, please ask those projects to submit their application every year, and they might win actually a quantitative amount of $1,000, and that $1,000 is raised by our silent charity auction that we offer at the conference. Many of the tour operators give us tours to auction off for wonderful items from around the world, which is a great way for you to actually have some private trips on the side. And that money goes towards supporting these Responsible Tourism Showcase winners. In fact, our winner last year at Inca Terra in Peru is actually hosting part of our advisory council meeting next year in Peru.
So thank you, Mara. We're going to stop for just a couple minutes, collect some final questions and answers, and then we'll be back for a quick wrap up, and we should be done by 1 o'clock. Thank you. Okay, so a few questions that came up, and I'm going to tip most of these over to Mara. How long is my membership in the community good for, Mara?
It's an annual membership, and it expires December 15th of 2014. It can be renewed again online for another year.
For another $25 or something like that. So,
if you've completed your trip listings, which we hope you will, it's $25.
So this is all about bribery as well as about
it's about
membership,
right?
Which
time and effort
so
and commitment.
It's just like a household, folks. How do I sign up?
There are 2 ways. If you're not coming to the conference, you can sign up. It just says join now on the website, and you go in and you just sign up and you pay a fee and you become a member, and you have instant access to all those resources. If you are actually coming to the conference, on your conference registration form, there's a button that you can push that says, I want to become a community member. If you've already signed up for the conference but forgot to check that box, you can go actually to the dashboard and say, I want to edit my registration, and then you go back into your registration form. You check off the box that says community member, and then you'll be re-invoiced for the amount. And we know who's completed trip listings, so then that's the discount is automatically provided to you on that invoice.
And we had another question that said, can we join online without attending the conference? That's a yes to that. And there was another question that said, what is the overall website that we can go to? And appropriately enough, there it is. So if you go to www.travellearning.com, you'll see all of the things that we've at least alluded to today. Maura?
And on up, there's a nice little bright thing that says join now. So it's pretty obvious on the home page. We tried to make it obvious. If you have any issues, though, I'll tell you the team at ETC are great. We work with everyone every day with the website. So you could just call it 406-745-4800, and anyone can help you.
Great. Oh, so Maura, you want to wrap up?
Yes, actually, I want to thank, first of all, Steve Lemke and the resources at Rhodes Scholar for hosting this webinar, because without these resources, we couldn't bring it to you today. And it just demonstrates how the community really works together to collaborate and to provide educational resources. So thank you, Steve, and your team.
Entirely welcome, Maura. And this slide in front of you has nothing to do with we were forced to act happy at the advisory council meeting in Alberta. That's a lie. It was a wonderful, wonderful program. It was very productive. And for any of you who have not been to Alberta, you really should put that on your short list. So again, thank you all for attending. Thank you for your questions and answers. We would really appreciate if you would give us some webinar ideas going forward, because while this one was pretty much an overview and probably hit the mark for half of it for most of you, we want to come back with some very specific things going forward, like research reports and things, and we want your ideas on what those would be. So thank you for joining us. We'll keep you posted and join that community. Thank you.